Alright, in this video I just wanted to create a quick workthrough of how I use weight stats every day in order to solve problems with SQL Server, and most of those problems are usually subsystem related. So let's go ahead and create a database here. You can see that it's just a simple empty database, transport level, because I rebooted the actually we didn't reboot anything, restarted the instance. So let's go create it, and we can see here I'm creating it on the F drive. The F drive is a local USB stick here, and now we want to create a simple table. Let's change the context. There we go, and now let's clear out just to make sure. I want to clear out my weight stats, and I'm going to jam some rows, actually a lot of rows, into the table we just created. And then what this does is just gives us a workload to play with. Alright, so let's move over to our next screen, and here we have a aggregated weight type script, and this gives us insight into what our number one weighters are on a percentage basis on a given instance. And this is actually, let's take a look here, this is Paul Randall's, and he really is the person who really has the best course out right now on weight stats analysis. So here, this is my blog, and there's not a lot here. Just being quite honest, there, I've got a few good articles. This one on CX packet myth might be interesting for those who are up to snuff on weight stats. But this, at the bottom of the home page, I have a lot of resources. The Joe Sachs presentation is fantastic. That will give you a very brief introduction and overview of what weight stats are. Davidson's paper, this is the Bible of weight stats. He's the guy that created the process at Microsoft. However, Paul Randall is really kind of taken up the torch from Davidson and basically all others. And this course on Pluralsight is absolutely a must-watch. Randall's blog, Randall's article on weight stats, he's where I've learned the most information from weight stats analysis. Alright, so now we've got our workload running. Let's see what the script tells us about what the number one weighter is. So, what do we have? We have, let's pull this up a little bit, we have WRITELOG, and it's at clearing weight number one. We have this, the flush, and we have a page IO latch. So what is the WRITELOG here? What is the number one weighter telling us? Well, this is the log management system waiting to flush the log to disk. Alright, so what's this? This is almost one we can ignore, but what this is checkpoint throttling in order to alleviate some of the contention on the subsystem, the subsystem. But as you'll see in a second, it's not really working. And we have page IO latch. Remember in the last video, if you haven't watched my last really brief introductory video on page IOs and page IO latch and page latches, go ahead and watch that. We can see the page IO latch. IO is important there because it's telling us that we're kind of waiting on this subsystem again. So what do we do with this? I mean, other than be able to walk through these and look these up to tell us what's going on with these waiters, what can we do with this information? Well, we need to look at what's going on with the individual files. Alright, so let's take a look at this is the system virtual file stats and the system masters files, and this is also on my blog, and this isn't mine. Again, this is almost everything I do. I pilfer from someone because I don't like to reinvent the wheel. If someone's done it, it's out there, I'm going to use it, and I believe this is Ozar's, although I can't be sure. So let's take a look at the files, the individual files, the MDFs, the LDFs, and we can see something jumps out. Let's just bring this over. Alright, I like to have everything, but I really only concentrate on these two. Right? I want to look at the average read stalls and the write stalls on each file. So you don't have to know a lot about weight stats, right, in order to look at this and say something's wrong. One of these is a little off, right? And you can see the one that is off is the average write stalls on the weights database. on the MDF specifically, and that's insanely high. Well, not insanely. That's very, very high. And as compared to all these other ones, which are actually pretty good, these are actually good numbers, that's not so good. And if we were to sit here, we would see that continue to go higher and higher. So what would we do if this were a real world example and we went through this and we looked at our load on our instance and we saw this information and we went over here and we said, okay, well, we see that the right stalls look okay. Actually, they're not okay. There's these right stalls. If I saw these every day on the sands in production environments around the world, I'd be a happy man. These are actually fantastic numbers. But the advertised number, just in case you want to know, is 20 milliseconds, and that's Microsoft's number. I don't know how many people are really getting 20 milliseconds, but either way, these are good numbers. Accept that. So what do we do? So what we tell? Well, the first thing we want to do is there something wrong with the right speed on this line, on this particular part of sand? So what's going on here? So that's where we'd contact the sand guy and ask him, hey, what's going on here? And then we'd say, can we move this to this particular MDF to a separate shelf, to a separate part of the sand, to see if we can't correct this specific flaw. Now again, this is a totally contrived example, right? I'm creating the flaw by the fact that I have this USB stick and we're given this example. But this happens. This happens quite often, where you'll see one or two files. Usually it's, to be quite honest, it's TimDB that will give you issues because TimDB is so highly used. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview of kind of how you kind of a walkthrough of how we use these. I wonder what our weight stats look like now after we've been running for a few minutes. Same thing, right? Basically the same thing of how we use weight stats to solve a problem with the subsystem, and how we can do it really quite quickly. Right? How many people would be able to sit down right at their someone calls and says, hey, we're having an issue with the system. What's going on? Well, the first place I often will look will be the disk subsystem. And all right, so hopefully I gave you a little bit of information in there, and you guys can run with that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.